Good Monday morning, each and every one of you today. How you doing? Coming off of a rough weekend with the Angels, but a beautiful weekend when it comes to weather, wouldn't you say? Spent Sunday at the park with family, and the weather was absolutely phenomenal. So it was nice, but it is going to ramp back up again this week, from what I'm hearing. So you got to make sure you're hydrated, like I'm always telling you guys. Make sure you stay moist out there. Uh, Let's get down to business before we get into the show. You are tuned into Halos in the Infield Network. It's brought to you in part by Noble Ale Works, just outside Angel Stadium at 1621 South Sinclair, where you can get fantastic discounts just by mentioning HITI, Halos in the Infield. Also brought to you by 714 Tickets. 714 Tickets. The price you see is the price you get. Get discounts using the Apply Now code when ordering your tickets just by mentioning HITI, Halos in the Infield. Also by Mezzo Calzones, located at 2406 East Catella. Each calzone is crafted with fresh ingredients, ensuring delicious experience with every bite. They also offer a selection of wings, fries, onion rings, salads, and craft beer. Get your discounts by mentioning HITA as well. Halos in the Infield. Now, let's get on with the show. So, today we're going to talk about Wrigley Field, the Angels' first baseball stadium. Okay. Now, we talk a ton about the Big A. We all love the Big A. The Big A has been their home for the majority of their existence, as far as being a professional Major League Baseball team. From 1966 on to today, we call that place home in beautiful Anaheim, California. But before that, uh, we were in a couple places. Now, a lot of people do know, of course, that we played at Dodger Stadium and we roomed up with the Dodgers at Chavez Ravine. But we did that on the second season onward to 1965. So from 62 to 65, we played at Dodger Stadium and then moved into Anaheim Stadium at the time in 1966. But in 1961, our inaugural year, we played at Wrigley Field, not in Chicago, but yes, a Wrigley Field Stadium here in South Los Angeles, just by right by South Central, actually. Um, and it was a small stadium. It was a minor league stadium. The Angels at the time were a minor league team. So it was home to actually two minor league teams. For 1 year, the Hollywood Stars played there. But for more than 30 years, it was home to a minor league baseball team, the Los Angeles Angels, and we were the first tenants there. So, uh, like I said, we shared it with the Stars, and it was also a popular place at the time in LA. Mind you, back in these days, this was, gosh, what was this? When was this built? I believe the place was built in 1925. So back in those days, there was no Major League Baseball team in Los Angeles. Um, so if you were a baseball fan, that's where you would go. Whether you were a Hollywood Stars fan or a Los Angeles Angels fan, you would head on down to Wrigley Field to go watch them play. Now, the designer of the stadium was named Zachary Taylor Davis, and he had also designed Comiskey Park, and he designed the Wrigley Field in Chicago. So he had his hands on this as well. Of course, Wrigley Field, named after the Wrigley guy. You know him, William Wrigley Jr. Yes, the gum guy. He was he was the one that, of course, the stadium was named after. Wrigley Field, I believe, the Chicago one had a couple of different names as well. Some weird names. I think it was also called Cubs Park at one time. I'll check that out in a bit, but yeah, I think it was called Weigman Park, and then it was changed to Cubs Park, and then in 1926, a year after the Wrigley Field here in LA was built, the Chicago Stadium was called Wrigley Field. So in 1926 onward, Wrigley Field in Chicago was its name. The Los Angeles Angels played there. Now I'm talking about the PCL team, played there from 1925 to 1957. The Hollywood Stars were there in 1926, through 1935, and also in 1938. The Pepperdine Waves from the NCAA team, uh, they played there in 1948, and then of course the inaugural year, Los Angeles Angels of the Major League Baseball club, separate entity, in 1961. So the $1 Million Palace, that was the nickname for the stadium at the time, because that's what it cost. That must have sounded absurd at the time. But he had his he had the ownership of the Los Angeles Angels as well there at the stadium until things started to go, and for us, a little south when the Brooklyn Dodgers decided to move in. Now, Brooklyn Dodgers came in and purchased for $3 million, purchased the Angels, the stadium, they purchased everything, and the area, the area rights to LA, the entire area. So they got them and moved them out into Spokane, and we'll get into that a little bit as well. Going back to the architecture of the stadium, though, it was a Spanish style architecture. It was called. Um, you've seen pictures of it. You could Google it up. Wrigley Field, Los Angeles, and a lot of open space in the back, a lot of open window areas. Airy stadium, very old fashioned double decker stadium. Looks like kind of like an old building from the outside, and right in the middle of a neighborhood too. It was amazing. Off of I think it was 42nd Street. Um, I'm sorry, 41st Place, 42nd Place, and Avalon Boulevard, old area of LA. I think there's a park there now, if I remember hearing right. Of course, it's not there. It's no longer there. Um, so Wrigley would have his baseball club, the Chicago Cubs. Um, he owned the Santa Catalina Island, and he would have spring training there for them, which is pretty interesting. I didn't know that. So while they were there, it's right. It was a training facility in the city of Avalon, and he would have their team in their spring training sessions there, which was nice because it was very convenient for them to shuttle on over to LA and play the Angels, which they did once. They actually played against each other, and the Chicago Cubs were the first Major League Baseball team to ever play in that stadium. So, and that was, I believe, in 19. Oh, when did they play? Da, 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 da. Yeah, I think they play. I'm sorry, I lost my place here. Uh, darn it. They played it. It was 1926. Sorry, lost my place there. But but yeah, so they were the first ones there. The baseball stadium was ahead of its time as well when it was the first to get its lights for night games. Um, so the lights were added at the park in 1930, but Chicago's Wrigley Field did not get lights until 1988. So you can imagine I mean, that was a long time ago, but more recent times when we're talking. In 1988, Chicago's Wrigley Field received their lights ever since they changed their home schedule to night games. But way back in 1930, the Wrigley Field here in LA already had lights, so they were already ahead of the time. Baseball games were normally played during the daytime back in the old days. Yeah, so for 33 seasons from 1925 to 57, the park was called their home for the Angels, the PCL Angels, and between them and the Hollywood Stars, when the Stars would play there, they would draw up to about 850,000 fans in a season. So not bad for the time. It was a small park, about 20,000 seats. Um, but then the Stars, of course, moved out and they moved to Gilmore Field. And things, like I said, things started to change a little bit when the Dodgers started making their moves. For $3 million, the Dodgers came in. This was back in February of '57, and they bought the franchise and the territorial rights and everything. And they transferred all of them over. In 1958, the Angels franchise was relocated to Spokane. They were called the Spokane Indians. They played at a Vista Stadium, Spokane, Washington. And when they moved them out, that was when the Dodgers started. Well, the Dodgers first considered moving they were moving the Dodgers from Brooklyn to LA. They were already planning that, but they were considering whether they play at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, at Wrigley Field, or at the Los Angeles Coliseum. It turns out they went for the Four Seasons with the LA Coliseum, and I'm assuming it's because of the seats, 93,000 seats that were there. I'm sure they didn't fill all those up, but um, you put that versus you have a more traditional baseball field like Wrigley would have been a nicer setting, but only 20,000 seats wouldn't have been enough for them. I think at the time they were talking about adding an additional seating that went around the outfield. There was no seats in the outfield at the time. Kind of making the stadium into somewhat of a bowl, kind of a semi bowl, and having fans being able to sit out, which would have added a lot more seats. But that would have cost a lot of money. I don't think the Dodgers were interested in it. The Dodgers were already having Chavez Ravine built, and it probably just didn't make any sense. So they went with the wacky dimensions at LA Coliseum with 251-foot foul line in left field. well, and they actually had the capacity seating for them was 56,000, not the whole 93,000, of course, but 56,000 over 20. You're going to go for that without having to spend any more money. So, yeah, 251 feet. I believe the wall was a lot higher right there too. But man, that must have been if you can go left, that'd be a great opportunity to hit your home runs there. If you could do that. But 251 feet, I might be able to do that in my 20s maybe. But yeah, so Dodgers came in, moved the Angels out, but didn't move it all out. They kept the Los Angeles logo. I've mentioned this a million times before, but for those of you who are younger and were not aware, the LA logo that you're looking at on the Dodgers cap today is actually a Angels logo. And if you look back onto the old PCL Angel caps, the blue with the white and red lettering, you can see it's the same logo that the Dodgers have today with a couple little minor adjustments. They made it all white. And I think there's like a little fin sticking up over the top of the A. They kind of cut that off, but it's the LA logo, and they kept that to replace the B that was for Brooklyn on their hat, and basically kept the rest of the uniform the same. But yeah, so a little bit of Angels PCL history is still floating around out, and unfortunately, it's on a Dodger cap. But yeah, they did keep that LA logo and that brand, and it's basically known as a Dodgers logo now. But it was originally an Angels logo. So yeah, so the Angels moved in there in '61 when they were brand new. Nice place to play for them. Not a lot of seats, but they were an expansion team. Everybody was already a couple of years in here in LA, excited about their Dodgers team. They already had an established team. They were a good team. They're exciting to watch. So the fan base was born really almost probably instantly with a lot of Major League Baseball starved fans that were here in Los Angeles. So they jumped on that bandwagon and rode with them. Then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, oh, here comes an expansion team. Kind of got the leftovers there. Or if you're a person who just never liked the Dodgers, you probably went with the Angels, which was pretty much the situation in my family anyway. But yeah, so the on October 1st, 1961, the Cleveland Indians beat the Angels 8-5 before 9,868 fans. And Steve Bilko was a player for the Angels in the PCL club, and also played for them in their first Major League Baseball year with the Angels. And he hit his last home run at Wrigley in that game, so that was pretty interesting. And another little tidbit here from 1961: the Angels in 1961 were led by hitting by Albie Pearson, who he had a batting average of 288. In home runs was Leon Wagner with 28. Runs batted in by Kent Hunt with 84. The pitching staff was led by Ken McBride with 12 wins. Um, future World Series winning manager Chuck Tanner played in 7 games. The team drew about 603,500 fans in the season. So not a lot by Major League Baseball standards. And that time period, I'm not exactly sure what average was, to be honest with you, but it doesn't sound like too much. But you know, it goes to show how many people do live in the area as well. If they didn't want to just stay committed to didn't want to commit themselves to the Dodgers organization and went with the Angels, or if they're just baseball fans and just went to both Angels and Dodger games, could have done that as well. There was professional boxing at Wrigley Stadium, believe it or not. 6 world title boxing bouts were held there, including 1939's Joe Louis versus Jack Roper fight. Sugar Ray Robinson also boxed at Wrigley Field. He won his middleweight championship on May 18th, 1956, knocking out Carl Olson. Before 18,000 fans, not bad. On August 18th, 1958, in heavyweight championship fight, Floyd Patterson defeated Roy Harris with 17,000 in attendance as well. Football, 1938 NFL Pro Bowl. This is this was, I think it says several weeks after the 1938 season. The first NFL Pro Bowl was held at Wrigley Field in 1939 in January. And let's see, it says that Sammy Ball was among those on the roster that matched the champion New York Giants against the All-Star NFL players. So the Giants went against the All-Star NFL players in that game. 1938, pretty cool. I would like to watch that game. I don't know. I'm trying to think in my head how they possibly fit a football stadium in there. I guess they could, but in what direction? It's. I guess they kind of went along the third baseline, I would think. But it would be. That's interesting. I would like to see if there's any pictures of that. I don't think I've seen any. With the football field set up. Pepperdine University, the Waves that we mentioned earlier, they played football there as well, and they had home games there in 1948 as well. Soccer, movies and television filming would have gone on there, jazz concerts. Unfortunately, after all this, which it was a staple in Los Angeles, it was the place to go. After all this, it was demolished. And in October 1968, the ballpark was renamed Gilbert Lindsay Community Center. And I believe it was in 19. Darn, I lost it again. It was 68. I don't think it was 69. It was still around. I just had it here and I lost it. Sorry, I have all my notes and I'm relying on them, and I'm losing my train of thought on all this stuff. But anyway, yeah. So it was an interesting place. Held a lot of different venues there, and it was the first home of our Angels that we know today. I've had a lot of history that I wrote out on my old Facebook page about the PCL Angels and their times there at Wrigley Field, and there was a lot of good teams as far as minor league baseball is concerned that played there. A lot of good Angel teams, um, quite a few championships as well. But it is interesting to know that our Angels today played a season there, their first season at Wrigley in Los Angeles, before moving up to Chavez for 4 years, and then of course after that, the Big A in '66. I'm gonna have to just punch in. I had it here, and I don't want to like let go of that info because it's kind of important what we're talking about here. But the I'm just punch it in here real quick. Sorry, this is taking forever right now. I'm sorry. Long pauses. That's always good for a show, right? So, I'm so sorry. I keep everybody hanging here. I can't find it. I had all my information here, and now it's gone. It was 1969 in March. Gosh, sorry about that. It was finally demolished. There was a lot of rallies there as well. I think Martin Luther King had a rally there, and there was a lot of cool things that went on there. But anyway, yeah. So today we're celebrating Wrigley Field, uh, a bit of Angels history, small bit, the beginning piece, um, and hopefully there are those of you that are watching this that were not aware of some of the information I just shared with you. Pretty cool piece of history with the Angels. I wish the stadium was up still. I would love to go by and visit that place and walk around in there and think of all the different things that have gone on. It'd be such a cool old place to visit. But of course, you know LA. LA is a constant changing city, and there's a lot of old buildings here, but there's a lot of change to go on as well, and it just kind of goes along with everything else. But do you guys have any stories at all? Are any of you guys old enough to have any stories of going to Wrigley Field? I know there were a lot of people on my page that would always talk to me about heading down to Wrigley with their dad and watching the Angels play the Stars or whatever other team that was in town. And those are always real interesting. So, for those of you who are old enough that remember Wrigley Field and actually gone to a game there, uh, please jump in the comments below and let me know. I would love to hear a story if you have any or any type of experience you may have had. Um, Also, if you find this interesting and would like to know more about it or in more detail, I kind of just threw it out there with basic information just to let you know of its existence and what's happening. If, like I said, you're a fan that was not aware. Um, and you want to get into more detail, or you would like more details of other historical um, events that have happened in Angels history, let me know down in the comments below as well. I'd be more than happy to take your feedback and look into that and make a video of it if you like on their history. But I think would be a good idea to kind of do what I did in my old page too and supply our younger fans with some Angels history that they aren't aware of. I've noticed that a lot when speaking to Angels fans that are younger. Some are my age as well, to be honest, um, and just do not know their Angels history. It's always bothered me. You see a lot of fans of a lot of teams, especially baseball. Baseball's so ingrained with history. They're so History is so much a part of this sport, more so I think, and I feel than any other sport. Um, I think that's why when baseball makes their changes, it bothers fans a lot. Uh, when like when the National League went to DH, it's like everybody's like, oh, wait a minute, and they start wanting to step in, and the pitching clock, you know, things like that. They want to stick to the old game how it was. So history has like a huge part of it. And I think we should know as fans everything there is to know about them and their history, where they come from, why they're the Angels, why are they even here? Why are we bothering wasting our time with this team? They're so hard to watch, but that's just them now. But they're your team. You should know everything about them. If people come up to you, ask questions, or people want, you should be that diehard fan that knows everything there is to know about your Angels. And I hope this is the place you choose to learn that information. Your Angel history buff here, Halo Joe. So if you guys need anything that you want to know about, if you have anything you want to know about it, just like I said, put in the comments below and I'll take a look at it, make a video about it, and we'll go from there. Hopefully a lot better than this one. It's so darn early and I got to go to work and I'm so tired. I had a bad late day yesterday and I am not feeling it. You could probably tell by my voice. I've just about had it. But let's get ready for we got to check out the for the week who we have set up here. Let's see. I'll tell you right now, probably already know. I know we got some. Let's see here. Blue Jays just smacked us around, didn't they? What is that, a 5-game losing streak now? Let's see. Yeah, we lost all 3 to the Jays, all 4 to the Jays. Wow. Last game we won was the second game of the Royals. So yeah, 5-game losing streak. That's bad. Well, luckily today we have a day off, so the Angels get their much needed rest that they've been needing. That Ron Washington's been telling us that we need so badly. And on Tuesday, we're going to pick it up at 3:40, earlier game against the Tigers in Detroit. So remember to check that clock if you're out on the road or if you're at work. Pop it on the radio and tune into Terry Smith and check out the Angels against the Tigers at 3:40 p.m. on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, same time, 3:40. On Thursday, 10:10 a.m. against the Tigers. That's going to be a fun one. I drive out on the road. I'm driving around all day for my job, so I will be more than happy to have that game on the radio and listen to that. That's baseball on the radio is one of my favorite things. And then we're going to start up a 3-game series against the Mariners on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Friday at 6:38, Saturday at 6:38, and Sunday at 1:07. Let's see if we can stick it to the Mariners and gain some ground. And oh boy, I'm not going to get into the next week, but we have a couple against the Dodgers, which I'm not looking forward to. So who knows? Maybe we win those and embarrass the hell out of them, right? That would be great. Anyway, you guys have yourself a safe week. I'm sorry for the show kind of being rushed along. Like I said, it's if you only knew, there was a lot of places for me to be, and not that I was working hard at anything, but just having to be places, having to do things. Just didn't have a lot of time this weekend. I hope it didn't feel like such a rush through show or anything like that. I hope you guys learned a little bit of something about the Wrigley Field. If there was something I missed, let me know. I would love to see if there was something I missed there, a little tidbit or a little bit of information that someone might remember or bring up. Comment section, fill it up. Let me know. Let me hear you. So for me, Halo Joe, I want to thank each and every one of you for stopping by. And thank you so much for supporting Halos in the Infield. Stick with us. We got James Squared coming up towards the end of the week. We got Fernando, the Lone Star Halo, during the week. We got Todd coming up with his interviews and his shows during the week. And we also have Todd every single day on the post-game show after every Angels game. That's the greatest show on earth is the Todd Fox post-game show. So don't miss it. After every Angels game, put your YouTube channel. If you're subscribed to us on YouTube, hit the notification bell and make sure that your phone notifies you as soon as Todd's show starts, so you can click that sucker on and begin to watch, listen to Todd's rants, listen to all the baseball coverage, all the fun phone calls, and the chat that's there as well. It's a great time. It's a lot of fun. And if the Angels are on a losing streak like they are now, brings a little bit of entertainment to baseball when you're probably already checked out looking at football, right? But anyway, as for me, Halo Joe, I want to thank each and every one of you. You have a great week and stay moist.
California Angels, A-OK. California Angels all the way. Hear them shout that you're the best, clear throughout the Golden West. Watch you play night and day, keep the crowds in the house. California Angels win that game. California Angels win that fame. Everybody blow your horn with the halo.